5 civil society organizations in the country have strongly rejected the Nigerian Coast Guard Bill currently before the National Assembly as anti-Nigerian. The coalition, in support of national security advancement at a press conference held in Abuja, said the bill is an attempt to amend the Constitution through the backdoor by creating another arm of the armed forces. The group raised concern over national security, economic implications, and constitutional conflicts. At a joint address by Okwa and Bilal Abdulahi, the coalition also highlighted the economic burden of establishing Coast Guard, which will require significant funding, potentially diverting resources from the Nigerian Navy. Furthermore, the group emphasized constitutional issues, noteworthy to state that the proposed Coast Guard contradicts Section 217 of the Nigerian Constitution, which recognizes only the Army, Navy, and Air Force as branches of the armed forces. Instead, the group proposed strengthening the Nigerian Navy and establishing a civilian-controlled maritime agency to handle non-military duties. While urging the National Assembly to discard the bill, the group said the legislation was not in the best interest of the citizens. Hence, the sponsors must apologize.
The Nigerian Navy's function and responsibility overlap is one of the main problems. It is noteworthy to state that international acclaim has been given to the Nigerian Navy for its successful management of marine security, which includes law enforcement, counter-piracy, and hydrographic services. Moreover, establishing a new Coast Guard can lead to potential jurisdictional conflicts and operational inefficiencies. Examples from the US, UK, and South Africa show how different duties might prevent such overlaps. Nigeria's unique resources and structure, however, don't seem well adapted to implementing this distinct strategy, exemplified by these countries, considering Nigeria's present effort in stabilizing the economy. The proposed Coast Guard Bill is one that has been observed to bring up issues of command organization and constitutionality. Section 217 of the Nigerian Constitution recognizes only the Army, Navy, and Air Force as branches of the armed forces. Thus, creating a second military duty would necessitate constitutional amendments and could create legal ambiguities. Unity of command is essential during emergencies, and the military service under a civilian military may make this more difficult.
They are meticulously to all of the beautiful observations that they have raised. Firstly, there is the question of duplication of responsibility. The Nigerian Navy is already there. The NIMASA is in extant carrying out its responsibility diligently. And if need be, we have not heard from the Minister of Defense, neither from the Chief of Army Staff or Chief of Defense Staff, that they needed an extension or another arm of the military that will be responsible, of course, for protecting our coastline. The Nigerian Navy are doing their duty effectively, and even if this bill is possibly passed into law, without even empowering the Nigerian Army, if the Nigerian Navy, so to say, do not have all of the needed equipment to do what is expected of him, having whatever the Coast Bill and even subsequent extension of the military will not resolve the crisis. But empowering the extant one, providing all of the drones, having the best practice so that it will conform to international standard, the Nigerian Navy, of course, will give its best. And we are looking around the issue of cost efficiency. The country already is in debt. We have a plethora of crises that requires urgent financial need. And talking about the establishment of the Coast Guard will require stupendous amount of money, which means that the country currently do not have that capacity to fund that. And we are also looking around the question of the 1999 Constitution, which is the working constitution of the country. It does not have the room for having a fourth arm of the military. The Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy is the one that is recognized and approved by the Constitution to be under the armed force of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So having a Coast Guard means that there should be a kind of a constitutional amendment which also is time consuming and is of course not necessary given of course the current disposition. We are looking at our question of course political interference and corruption, and then the Coast Guard Bill does not even specify where it wants to be. In some area you see under the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, and then having to bring virtually all people from the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Interior, of course, to work in under one umbrella, which means that the Coast Guard Bill does not even specify under which ministry, of course, it also wants to be. So the Nigerian Navy, as we have said, have the competence, the capacity and commitment of also protecting our coastline. And then there is no need as of now to have a kind of duplication of duty. We do not want to have the Coast Guard or the Nigerian Navy taking each other's to court in the coming period over jurisdiction. We have had that with the rail safety corps and of course the BIO, which of course have question of duplication of duties and responsibility of it itself that led to of course the government of the day to have ensured that all of the VIO moved out of the road to allow the federal road safety corps to focus on their responsibility. So what we are calling for is that we do not want another extension of the military. What we want is that the extant one should be given all of the necessary financial requirements, should be provided with all of the expertise, should be taken to other countries that they would get all of the needed experience to dutifully carry out their constitutional responsibility and mandate diligently. Having an extension one will cause a whole lot of conflict, and which as a coalition that is concerned with national security and advancement do not want to have that to fall in the coming period. So we are lending our voice as every other Nigerians, because a lot of Nigerians, not only our coalition are opposed of this bill, so we are also lending our voice that we are opposing this bill, and that the bill which has currently passed second reading should be trashed into the dustbin of history. The bill is not necessary, it's confusing, it's full of discrepancies, and of course in the coming period, if that bill succeeds, it's going to cause a whole lot of crisis which we do not want.